It's a great joy and an honor to share these opening words on this, as you said, auspicious day, this induction of Curt Collier as the leader of our society. A day like today happens only once every couple of generations, and I hope it's a couple more before we do it again. As I sought to capture my feelings for this happy ceremony, the opening words that sprang to my mind were, "Thank God. Our prayers are answered. Hallelujah." I feel very blasphemous up here. But when I get these vestigial deist urges from my Christian past, I reflexively look for more secular humanist way to express those sentiments. So instead of thanking God, I'll share the immense gratitude that I have for all of the people whose energy and activity and generosity still reverberates through the years and decades and centuries. Their lives dedicated to a greater ideal. Countless small and great acts of service that have brought us to gather in this place on this day for this purpose. And I give thanks. Our prayers are answered. I don't know what the humanist equivalent of prayer is, but perhaps it's some combination of hope and fear during tenuous times, powered by a deep caring for the good to emerge and a strong trust that it will. Let me state the obvious. It's been a challenging couple of years. Difficult and uncertain days when we had to ask ourselves, who are we serving? Who are we? Are we? Even an existential question like that did not always have a clear answer as we looked to find a future for the society. I might not have prayed, but I'm probably not the only member who has had anxious, even anguished moments, seeking a compassionate and integrous path forward, hoping for help or insight, if not from a higher power, then from a friend or from an inner compass. Given the difficulties we faced, the chance of finding that person who could hold together this community that we are, while opening us up to a vision of the society we are always hoping to become, seemed vanishingly small. I mean, even if you found a person who had the training and the skills and the credentials and the experience and the compassion and the commitment to come in here and do this job, why, with all of those things going for them, would anyone in their right mind do it? For the salary we offer. So this is a really great moment for me to recognize and thank the search committee, whose thorough and superb work has reached such an outstanding result. And I'm going to name you, and I hope you'll stand up as I name you so we can really give you the appreciation you deserve. Rob Eigenbrod, Tracy Kelly, Susan Lesh. Stand up. Let's give them a hand. Wes Matsui, Dwight Panazzo, Paula Ribeiro, Esther Sandroff, Ron Schwartz. And of course, our recently departed friend Janet Glass, also on the search committee. I would also like to take a quick moment to acknowledge Terry Karp, who first mentioned this fellow Curt that she'd met at a lay leadership training conference some years earlier, who might make a good interim leader. You there, Terry? Yes, by the way, a training conference that Curt had helped to establish as part of his ethical journey. So I may not believe in karma, but I can tell you, it works. Yes, what goes around comes around. And this society has been on the forefront of a lot of good in a lot of people's lives for a lot of years. Let me also take this moment to recognize Joe Schumann, who served for so long and well as our leader. Who for decades energized us for progressive action, generous charity for those in need, and caring community for each other, and built and sustained an ethical culture society strong enough to make this transition, even through a pandemic. Joe, it is good to have you with us today in the heart of this congregation to whom you dedicated so much of your life. So why would anyone take this job as leader? Well, for the same reason Joe did it for 47 years, because they are an extraordinary person. And that is the best single word description that I can think of for you, Curt Collier. Extraordinary for so many reasons, but especially because he sees something in this ethical society and will help us to see it better. A place to grow, a place to serve our children, our world, ourselves, and each other. Thank you, Curt, for being willing to grow and to serve this greater good with us. Curt Collier, as we induct you as our leader, let us all be acutely aware of the commitment you are making to us, the members of this ethical society, so that we can meet you in the same way with our whole hearts. To serve as our leader, you have sold your home, left a successful and important role with Groundworks USA, moved your family. You are committing your life to the success of this society, to this promise of our growth together. We members can be no less committed, each of us giving the very most of our energy, our intelligence, our caring, our time to realize the great plans and vision you've shared and will share in the days of your leadership. We make that pledge to you today. As to the power of prayer to fulfill our desires, all I can say for certain is that our hopes are abundantly exceeded, our fears are banished, and our trust in the future of this society is renewed. Hallelujah! Or maybe what we should do is give you a good Texas yeehaw, right? Or a New England huzzah! Can I get a huzzah? However you say it. It is such a great joy to be in this moment, bursting with creation and creativity, growing in community and friendship, and rededicating ourselves to the great and greater things that lie ahead. Thank you. And now it's a great honor for me to introduce our musician, who will open with the opening music, and that is our own Azar Gordon, who, as many of us know, we have been graced over the years with so many of her students who have come and shared their exquisite talents, nurtured by Azar. And we're so honored, Azar.
Okay, you don't know what I'm going to play.
I don't know what you're going to play. So I would be honored if you would please introduce it. Thank you, Azar Gordon.
I'm going to play a Nocturne by Chopin, and it's the one, it's sharp up. Nocturne by Chopin, and it's an F sharp major, and it's Opus 15, number 2. One of my favorites.
Thank you.
good morning to everybody. Now it is. Good morning to everyone. A few words about ethical culture. Ethical culture is a fellowship of people who seek clarification of the values of life. We cherish freedom of mind and freedom of conscience. We affirm the worth and dignity of every person. We strive to emphasize ethics in our interactions with others. The Society is an organization that believes it is up to humans to make a difference in the world. We practice deed before creed, meaning it's what you do in life rather than what you believe that makes you an ethical person. As a community, we are committed to making a difference, bringing out the best in ourselves and in others, exploring ethical ideas, addressing social issues, and celebrating life and community. Unlike a traditional religious group, there is no supernatural component to ethical culture, and there is no requirement of belief or non-belief. That's a matter between you and your conscience. We turn to a greater, more important question. As our founder, Felix Adler, asked, what shall we do with this world? What is the outcome to be? And as Algernon Black stated, ethical culture is a call to the living, to those who refuse to make peace with evil. This is the greatest call of all, the call to a faith in people.
Is this on? Eddie and I are co-chairs of the membership committee. No, not on either. Testing, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Is that good? Which one's on? That's good. All right, that one's on. This is on. Okay. So Eddie and I are co-chairs of the membership committee, and we want to welcome any newcomers who are here today. And it's so great to see some of our old friends back in the building. I'm so pleased by this to see you all here today. If you have questions about membership, you think this is a worthy and an incredibly activist society that you're looking into, come talk to me, come talk to Eddie, and we'll let you know how to be part of this wonderful, wonderful community. Want to say a few words?
Yeah, one or the other of us is usually at the beginning of a platform to welcome, and it's our pleasure to do that. But I thought I'd take you behind the scenes just a tiny bit today, which is to say that we have a very large membership committee and we're very active. We sponsor the community weekend where we have a retreat every year. And so we see it as our job not only to try to make people feel welcome if they're new and answer any questions that they might have about what it would mean to become a member, but also to support the morale of the membership. And we take that very seriously, and we welcome ideas from anyone and anywhere on how we can do that better. So, as Ron said, as usual, welcome everyone. It's good to see you, and good to see people from as far away as Spain and Vermont.
Hello, everybody. I'm just going to say a few words about the short video you're about to see. And this video was made by my son, who at the time was 16 years old in high school. And I will say, I'm going to personalize a little bit. He was struggling at the time and trying to figure out his way. He wasn't sure he wanted to go to college. He wasn't feeling good about himself. But he was really good at video production, and he was just beginning to do this. And at the same time, we were planning for our 50th anniversary here at Ethical Culture. And so our planning committee, decided that it would be really nice, I think Joe had the idea, to interview our members about why they joined ethical culture and what ethical culture meant for them. And we talked about it, and we were trying to think about who could do this. And of course, I knew Noah was struggling, and so I volunteered his services. And he was thrilled to do it. And I just have to say that I think it is what really he wears his necklace, his ethical culture necklace, like religiously. Keeps it on all the time. He is so committed to this group, and I think that was the beginning for him, because he had the opportunity to hear the stories of our older members and why they joined ethical, and it really gave him a better understanding of what our community was about. So I think it was a way of really bringing out the best in one of our young people, and we continue to do that with our young people by nurturing strength. So having said that, you're going to have time to see this video, and I will say many of the members you're going to see are no longer with us. We started by interviewing our oldest members first, knowing that we weren't going to have them around as long, and then we were going to continue it with our younger folks. So you're going to see people like Renee Schlesinger, Peter Kelly, some other members, and I think it's a wonderful way to celebrate Founders Day today by seeing this video. So I hope you enjoy it, and here it is.
I'll say this video is about 7 minutes long. Having a little technical problem. Hold on one moment, please. Sorry.
Down before you call him a man. How many seas must the white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? Yes, and how many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
I'm Anna Weber Close, and I've been a member of the Burden Society for about 20 years.
My name is Wesley Matsui. Most people call me Wes. I've been a member for 10 years.
Good old member, and I've been a member for 41 years. Ethical culture is a place where people come together who are of different backgrounds, and it's a place where no matter what your background is, you are made to feel comfortable and feel very accepted, and everybody treats you as an important person.
I teach the Collier philosophy of life. Doing the best you can will bring out the best in others, but you do the best you can to help others because it's the right thing to do. I would describe ethical culture as a great place to do your thing for yourself and for others in a caring, intergenerational community. Describing ethical culture to someone who's never heard about it before is always a challenge for us. I like to think of us as a religion, and I like to think that we have many of the positive aspects of organized religion. We have a community of like-minded people that support each other, but at the same time, it is our focus on human activities and on making the world a better place. We have many of the benefits of an organized religion in that we have a supporting community, and we have rituals that nourish our spiritual needs. But at the same time, we don't focus on just merely a theistic view. We focus on what's happening here in the world and among people and how to make society better.
I would tell them not to worry so much about belief. We are not involved with what their belief is, as long as they are believers in making a better place in this world and a better life for all of those around us in this world. And this is a place where they can come together with other people in order to do that and find a community of like-minded people.
Society is a place for a meeting of people who want to make a better world, but under a sort of umbrella of community.
Realistically, we're always going to be a small organization in this society, in American society. And so I think that we have to continue to act assertively and independently, and to be a voice for reason and for humanism in a society that never will quite come around to where we are.
There's no place in this world where I'll belong when I'm gone, and I won't know the right from the wrong when I'm gone, and you won't find me singing on this song when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. And I won't feel the flying of the time when I'm gone. All the pleasures of love will not be mine when I'm gone. My pen won't fall a lyric line when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. And I won't breathe the bracing air when I'm gone. And I can't even worry about my cares when I'm gone. Won't be asked to do my share when I'm gone, so I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. And I won't be running from the rain when I'm gone, and I can't even suffer from the pain when I'm gone. Can't say who's to praise and who's to blame when I'm gone, so I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. Won't see the golden of the sun when I'm gone, and the evenings and the mornings will be one when I'm gone. Can't be singing louder than the guns while I'm gone, so I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. All my days won't be dances of delight when I'm gone, and the sands will be shifting from my side when I'm gone. Can't add my name into the fight while I'm gone, so I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. And I won't be laughing at the lies when I'm gone, and I can't question how or when or why when I'm gone. Can't live proud enough.
Back to the meeting house.
Well, shout out to Noah on the West Coast for
Jess?
Okay. For the third time, shout out to Noah on the West Coast for documenting our past, and as it continues now 20 years later. So I'm Elaine Fondiller. I'm the head of the platform committee. We're the creative folks who come up with something interesting every Sunday, and this is by far one of our most exciting platforms of the year. So thank you everyone for being here and being on Zoom. This section of the program is called My Memories, and we're going to hear from 4 generations of ethical culturists. To represent our older generation will be Mary Ann Claxton, but first I want to recognize and send an affectionate welcome to Jean Strickholm, who is one of our earliest members, and I'm so glad you're here with us today, Jean, in person. Mary Ann Claxton, who is sitting next to her, joined in 1965. She's always here with a smile and a positive attitude and ready to help out. I believe she must have known some of the founding members because early on some of them were still participating. And she also has a distinction of being a member under 3 of our 5 leaders, and also in 2 different meeting houses, if I'm correct. So she has a lot of memories to share. Mary Ann. And she's very funny too.
Well, I found out why. When you lose your balance, it's not always just a simple thing. I did have 2 strokes in my balance area, for crying out loud. Who expected that in my lifetime? Oh. I think so.
All right, gotta hold it close to your mouth.
Well, I'm not sure about that. I'll try. So I did move here in '66, and somebody said, there's an ethical culture society here, right around the corner, meeting in the women's club. So I hightailed it over there. Who did I meet? Sam Coltman. Anybody remember him? He was the father of this society, you betcha. He was a wonderful man. He absolutely embodied the whole meaning of ethical culture. He was also my neighbor, so we went back and forth to each other's homes all the time and had tea and whatever. Lovely, lovely, lovely man. After that, we moved from the women's club to this beautiful building. It finally got emptied out. It used to belong to a Jewish group. And as soon as they moved out, we moved in. And we fixed up, we cleaned up, painted. They put new rugs down, I think, at that time. It was quite a big undertaking. We had a man who was in the carpet industry, so we had beautiful carpet. We had, everybody was painting, we painted, and it's been done many times since then, of course. She's not here, the one who just done it recently, all this painting. Anyway, Paul Weston at that first time when I first came, oops! He's always keeping after me. I don't know why. I think it's because I goof a lot. But in any case, Paul Weston was here as a leader for a brief time. A lovely, lovely young man, very nice, but he hated being a leader. So he moved up to Lubec, Maine, and I subsequently went and visited him several times. He built himself a beautiful A-frame. Those of you who knew him, he and his wife furnished it by going to all the thrift shops up there. Well, you can imagine the thrift shops in Maine had stuff that was 200 years old because that's Maine. So it was adorable. So any place we could pick up, even if the chair was a little broken down, it was okay. So whatever we did, we furnished this place. It was really a lovely thing. However, I've kept in... Azar now is keeping after me. Not only you, Orion. So when we first joined, It was an amazing place. The members were all young. We were all young. We danced. We had always a dance floor. No matter what rug we put down, we had room for a dance floor. Parties galore. Every week, every couple of weeks, we had a big dinner. Azar, you used to do the cooking. You were the social affairs committee, I think, at the time. We had more dinners and lunches and dances than you could imagine. What a bunch of fun seekers we were. And we did. We didn't do anything abnormal or naughty, but we weren't that kind of people. No, we had husbands and wives, but we did no swapping whatsoever. At least I don't think so. I did have a womanizing husband. Excuse me, I didn't find that out until this year. He finally admitted it. Then he died. He got his just desserts. I feel sorry for him, though. He could have been here listening to me. One of the things we had, I could mention just a few people. Sam Coltman, I think I mentioned already. He was the grandfather of the society. He ran the place. He took care of the building. He did all of he did everything. Azar, do you remember him? Yes, I do. Wasn't he an amazing man? And he was my neighbor, too. So I was double lucky because he and his wife would walk over to my house and we'd have tea together in the afternoons. And oh, what a wonderful man. I miss him. But anyway, we miss a lot of people. We miss. So let me see what happened after that. We did a lot of dancing. We spun ourselves out of commission. We never stopped. We would start at a party and it was amazing. And there was all that fancy kind of dancing where you danced by yourself. It was really delightful. So, in any case, we had a wonderful man. I'm going to mention a couple of names because they were part of the society for too many years to forget them. This was Bruno Denise. He was a wonderful, he and his wife, I loved them. She just died at 102 this year. But we were friends forever. We did the mailings together, but Bruno maintained the building. He was his occupation was a metal sheet worker. But other than that, he could fix anything. He could do electrical. He fixed everything that you could imagine in this building. He was quite a guy. Social affairs at that time was Alice Wilkinson. Did anybody remember her? You better, because she was grandma of the society. You didn't breathe without her okay. She was a bossy lady and wonderful, right, Azar? You were here with her. And her husband, Bill, did a lot of the maintenance of the building. He was a sweet, quiet, opposite of her. Just always faded into the background. What a sweetheart. But anyway, that was, then we used to have a lot of parties. And what I have here, I don't know why I put it down. But I and others used to make the meatball soup for the parties and lasagna. That was one of the things that we did because we have Italian background, so they thought our meatball soups were better than anybody else's. And they were good, but I wouldn't say they were better. We had other people who were not Italian who surprised me with the quality of their lasagnas. It's a lot of work, and you better know how to do it. Nice, sweetheart. So anyway, that's about all I'm going to talk. Oh, did I talk about the carpet?
Yeah. Yes, you did.
That member, oh my God, he saved us thousands, wall to wall. Anyway, I think that's about all I'm going to talk about at the moment. Bruno, thank you. My balance disappeared. My balance went away.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Yeah, okay. The next person who was scheduled to speak is Diana Weber-Gross, and unfortunately she's not feeling well. So feel better. Ed Gross will speak in her stead. And, you know, I was going to say that they joined in 1980 and have been super active for all those years and served as president. And actually, that introduction applies to Ed as well as Diana. So welcome, Ed.
Thanks, Elaine. Oh, there we go. So I suspect Diana was chosen in part because she's such a wonderful extemporaneous speaker, having been a teacher for many years, and she's used to addressing a group without notes. My background is as a writer, so I will be reading to you. Before I do that, I wanted to say that if you see my name tag, it says Ed Gross. I was Eddie in my family, and Ron considers himself family, so I'm Eddie to the Schwartzes. You may have seen Eddie Gross on the video. That's okay, too. At any rate, Diana and I came to the Society in 1983. We were looking for a place to bring our daughter that reflected our ethical and moral views, in part because other children had begun asking her religious questions she couldn't answer. We attended several platforms, and in those days, the podium was over there, and the seats came back this way. This is a much better arrangement, I think. Everyone was dressed up, the men in jackets and ties, women in good suits and dresses, nary a pair of jeans in sight, let alone sneakers. You know, Diana contributed to this because nary is her word, not mine. We worked together. We enjoyed the live, mostly classical music played every Sunday by various local artists. We felt that we had found a philosophical home. At the Get to Know You meeting we attended, led by Joe Schumann, Ron Schwartz was introduced to us as a recent member. That night we joined along with Patty and Sal Infantino, who are right here, and Bo Meyerson. Our generation of members was responsible for loosening some of the Sunday morning formality. And more importantly, we pushed to find ways to hear members' voices beyond the questions at platform's end. Even those questions were actually forbidden for a while. We went through a no question period. Eventually, as the result of a 5-year plan that I was happy to work on, we added interactivity in the form of community circles, and we added summer platforms. That's right, we never used to have platforms in the summer months, and plenty of those are interactive too. When we joined, many of the founding members were still there in leadership roles. A number offered both friendship to us and became role models for us in several ways. Their commitment to the society, their skills in running committees and making things happen, their commitment to social justice in the broader world, and their friendliness to us and our children. The society was managed by the board, much as it is today, although there were more committees represented there, because the program council didn't begin until years later as the result of that same 5-year plan, which also created the paid position of administrative director that David so ably fills now. During our years here, we've taken on numerous roles. Each of us has served as president and chaired committees, but the formative experience that's most noteworthy, at least I think, is perhaps Diana's tenure as director of the Sunday school. Just 1 year after joining, and with a newborn on her hip, she let Joe talk her into it. There were 19 children taking part. Diana learned a lot by getting involved at the national level. Some of the traditions she began, and there are quite a few of them that still go to this day. She began the hunger banquet, and she began the rite of passage program for our graduates. Yeah, that deserves some applause, I think. That's a big one. Some of our fondest memories include community weekends at Hudson Guild. Then we went to Warwick Conference Center. And of course, we recently revived it at Stony Point. Skills auctions and skills auction events where we formed new friendships and deepened others. social events at the building, including movie nights, installation and commitment dinners, and New Year's Day brunches. Those were all highlights. Thanks to this society, we learned so much about ourselves and the world. We have countless great memories, close friends, and we look forward to more of all of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. The next generation is Rob Eichenbrod, who joined in 2018 along with his wife, Christina, and their daughter. And Rob, I feel like you just jumped right in. You were on the Leadership Search Committee, it was mentioned. Musician, Zoom master, fun dad on the playground, runs around with the kids, doesn't just chat with people. And he was even, to help publicize the skills auction that didn't happen but will happen, themed Shakespeare Comes Alive. He dressed up as the bard himself in costume and made an announcement. So welcome, Rob.
I forgot about that Shakespeare thing. This is, by the way, I'm going to soak this in because this is the only time I will be considered the voice of my generation. I probably should have written down some things, but I did think about it. I was thinking about memories here, and we haven't been here long, but how we've gotten to know many of you. I'm talking about Christina and Viola and me, but to try to pick a favorite memory of my relatively short time here is difficult. You know, it's what first comes to mind is the Sunday school and the great events that Samantha Stankiewicz pulls together all the time, from lemonade stands to ice skating to, you know, the Haiti Packathon, which is also very high up in my list. Just wonderful activities where we can involve Vi and be involved with our family and with other families, and it's just really rewarding and looms big in my memory. But the other, you know, it's like, this is like, what are your favorite movies? And you know, the top three keep jockeying for what's the top position. I have, you know, two others that are sort of in contention, and Ed, you mentioned them both actually with the Community Weekend, which for us, the last one was 2019. And I mean, it's just so much fun to be with everybody in a different environment, going on walks and talking with people that you don't normally get to talk with, and just something that we very much miss. And finally, the big one for me, and it's because it leads to other things, is the skills auction, which, I mean, not only is it a great time actually being there, I had a wonderful conversation with Mary Matsui about sci-fi movies that it was great. But the best part about Skills Weekend, I mean, the Skills Auction, is that then you're buying your social events for the rest of the year, and then we have, you know, game night with Ed and Diana and Tracy, and we have, you know, lunches and hikes and ping pong, of course. We can't forget ping pong with the Schwartzes. It's, to me, that is the most special part about the society, is getting the opportunity to talk to people that you don't normally talk to, and get to know more and more people. And that's just what I appreciate most about being in this society. So thank you for welcoming us, and I'm looking forward to more Skills Auction and Community Weekend coming up. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Rob. So our youngest generation is Max Caravella. Max came here in about 2019 with his mom, Jessie Glass, and his sister Roxy, who's around here somewhere. Now, Max is, of course, Janet's grandson, so he is a third-generation ethical culturist. And he's a student in our Sunday school. He's a budding scientist who brought his science kit to the Seeds Before Creeds event, at least one that I was at. He's a musician. He's performed here with his mom, with the Ethical Music Makers, and he appears to be very confident speaking in public, which is wonderful for a young person. And he read aloud at our Banned Book Festival as well. So welcome, Max.
Check one. Okay. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Okay. So I really like it here because I get to play with all of my friends, and Samantha makes all of these really fun events and crafts. One of these amazing adventures was the lemonade stand, where we made lemonade and made other people happy, which I really liked. And we got to draw on the sidewalk with chalk. And to top it off, we were doing a fundraiser for cancer patients. All that stuff makes it worth coming here on a Sunday.
Thank you so much, Max.
Hi, everyone. Is it working? Hi, I'm Mary. I think it's best if I keep it on. I'm here to do an introduction of Curt. Curt Collier is the 5th ethical leader of the society. Originally from South Texas, Curt has a number of jobs over the years, including 3 other ethical societies for 18 years, working as an audiologist along the Texas-Mexico border, teaching speech and hearing sciences at 3 universities and philosophy at another. And most recently, serving as the National Youth Program Director for an organization created by the National Park Service and the EPA. For decades, Curt has been directly involved with ethical action, including working with 20 U.S. cities on community revitalization projects, including job training programs for hundreds of young adults in over 25 national parks. Fighting for marriage rights for the LGBTQ community, creating programs for science, engineering, technology, and math for several school districts, pushing Texas to provide hearing services to undocumented youth along the border, co-founding a homeless shelter in the Bronx, and advancing community development and fostering civic engagement within scores of organizations and residents across the nation. He is a frequent guest speaker before a variety of audiences, including staff of the National Park Service, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, the National Forest Service, the EPA, and NASA, where his focus is in engaging new and diverse audiences. Curt is a single father of a son, Andy, who Curt claims is his inspiration to continue to work towards a world that is more just and inclusive.
Well, as they say, that's a hard act to follow. There we go. You hear me okay? A little higher. That's a hard act to follow. And I want to begin by thanking this community for putting your trust in me. This is a big responsibility, coming into a new place, a new community, and looking at all these pictures, looking at all these stories, looking at all the things that you've done, looking at the amazing plethora of activists who've served this community and being asked to play the role of a leader. You know, that's somewhat of an unfortunate term. I've never really liked the term myself. I think when Felix Adler, the guy who founded Ethical Culture, was choosing that, what he meant was facilitator. And that the idea is that we are here to facilitate your good work. And that is really what we're here to do. I have to thank Dr. Schumann, who was actually my mentor for Felix Adler, and for training me quite a bit. And it's a pleasure to have you here, sir. Appreciate that. You know, growing up in a small town in Texas, there wasn't a lot for us to do. There was only about 1,825 people when we were there, and when my brother and I left and went to college, there were 1,823 left people there to go. Alan was the athlete, as you can probably imagine. It was like looking in a mirror. I know, Alan, stand up for a second. Stand, that's my brother. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so he was in all the sports and all those kinds of stuff, and I wasn't. I did theater. And I did theater because I loved the creativity. I loved it because the theater is where all the weird kids went. And I was kind of a weird kid. And that's where we hung out, and that's the place that was safe to be weird. And for many different reasons, we bound together as a community. I say this, tell this little story about the theater because we went to the theater last night to see Wicked. Anybody seen the play Wicked? Yeah. I had to take my son Andy there. That's Andy with those camera. Wave, Andy. There we go. And I wanted to see it. I've been introducing him to a thing called Broadway. But you know, theater is great when you're a young adult because, you know, it's an outlet for your creativity. It's a place to do public speaking. It makes you comfortable in front of audiences. You don't freak out. But after a while, you start to question lots of things. As a closeted gay youth at the time, there weren't very many safe places in rural South Texas for people to go and be themselves. It would not have been safe to do this publicly in a very, very small school. There were, I think, 98 in Alan's graduating class, and there were 100 in my class. That's the entire school-age grade in the entire community of the surrounding county, to show you how small of an area we lived in. And it was just not a safe thing to do. So theater allowed you to play roles and to act out and to become other things in a way that was much safer. But then after a while, as a young man or woman involved in the theater, you start to look at the idea of playing roles. And you realize that for a gay youth such as myself, the idea that I was asked to play roles again and again took on more and more importance. And I realized doing theater that perhaps other people out there were playing roles as well. We were playing roles about what we were supposed to be as parents or as teachers or as spouse or husbands or wives, that all of these things have been dictated to us by our society, by our culture, by our traditions. And you wondered, are these just roles or are these truly who we are? When I got to Texas A&M University, I studied philosophy. There were 3 of us and 46,000 students. There was more than that. Yeah, not very many. You then start to question a lot about society and about the roles that we take on and ask the questions. And eventually, at some point of your life, you have to realize and ask yourself, am I my authentic self? Or am I what others expect me to be? And at that point, I did what many young people did, and many gay people have to do a lot of times, and what many women did when they discover themselves, and what people of color do every day, is finally to take the mask off and put it down and say, I am going to be myself going forward. When you do that, when you finally have that ability to do that, and I hope every one of you have had that opportunity, you then can look around at the community and to say, I want everybody to have that right or ability as well. Let us question everything. Let us not be inauthentic people. We come into this community because we have made a decision that we are going to not just be what people think that we should be, that a religion could be something that's different than they are, that we get to define those things for themselves. As Lucy mentioned, Algernon Black was a former member of the leader of the Ethical Society in New York. He says so eloquently that this is a call to the living, that we who come together to make choices today about what kind of world that we want to live in. As the last 15 years I've been working as an environmentalist, what I hope to do is to bring that kind of renewed vigor to northern New Jersey as well, that we have to realize that we have been borrowing and stealing from the past to pay for our present lifestyles, and that cannot continue. And unfortunately, when we go to look back in the piggy bank, most of the assets that we use to build our world are no longer there. 8% of the forests remaining in the United States, 1.5% of prairies remaining in the United States, 2.5% worth of wetlands left in the United States. We have robbed the generation that's outside playing on the playground, and one standing in the door right there, two of them standing in the door, and we need to put all that back. And so I ask you, this community, to do something which you probably would not have hoped to. I looked through all these pictures and I put together the collage out there, and as I'm looking, I realize the work you do again and again and again, the protest marches, the fighting for women's rights, and once again we have people trying to take away a woman's control of her body. We have people trying to ban books, and we're going to do what the ever generations did before this. Even though we run out of energy and sometimes we're starved, we're going to stand up because people are counting on us to do that. And I hope you will continue to join with us as well. Thank you very much.
Well, it's a joy and privilege to be back. You're looking good, I should say. Right, okay, the microphone. Hello, can you hear me? Hey, it works. Great, doesn't always work, but it's working now. You're all looking very good. Oh, yes. You know, life is hard. There you go. That feels a lot better. You're all looking very good, and it's really great to see the society as robust as ever. I think the future is in good hands, and it'll be a very, very good one. Yeah, just a few words on this occasion. It's my privilege and joy to be here. The Greek philosopher Heraclitus once said "pantare," which in Greek means all things flow, all things change. And one of the constants, I think, of the human experience is that almost everything does change. Today, in fact, we officially celebrate a most important, and to use that word again, auspicious change in the almost 70-year history of our community, this Ethical Culture Society of Bergen County. We have come together to celebrate the installation of Curt Collier as indeed our 5th professional leader since the founding of the group. I should say, just for history's sake, Howard Radist was the founding leader of the society from 56 to 64, and I think we only have 2 members remaining who joined during that first generation, and Jean Strickholm, I believe, is one of those 2, Gloria Smith the other. Time moves on. Okay. In choosing Curt Collier, I think you have chosen very wisely. Curt knows ethical culture very well. He has served several societies and our movement over several decades in St. Louis, in Texas, and in Riverdale in the Bronx. And I need to mention that both Curt and I served the New York Society as its professional leaders together simultaneously from 2008 for a few years ongoing. Curt comes to you with a very broad range of diverse experience. He started, as mentioned, his professional life as an audiologist and built his own practice in his native Texas. Since then, he's a major share of his career has been dedicated to public service. Most extensive and I think most admirable, Curt has become a very noted environmentalist, working primarily for Groundworks, and among other commitments, he's devoted himself to educating young people primarily to the critical importance of environmentalism in ensuring that life remains sustainable on our small planet. It's brought him into work with, as he mentioned, many national associations, the National Park Service, with secretaries of Interior in the United States, very high profile work, doing important work, but doing it very often on the ground with young people. It's extremely admirable and critically important. Curt Collier is a visionary. And as a leader of the Bergen Society, he will endeavor to take the community in new and fresh directions. This is as it must and should be. I've known Curt as an ethical leader, simply overflowing with new ideas and committed to developing creative, relevant, and engaging projects. He is certain to inspire, and this is a very good thing, and I think will bring a renewed and exciting vibrancy to this society. In my many years serving this community, I've often said that the mission of ethical culture could not be more important than it is now. And I have to say it again, and this time I really, really mean it, okay? I think the two greatest challenges, as we all know, that are facing us are the survival of our democracy, both globally and here in our very own United States, and indeed the fate of the planet. These are not two separate independent problems. They are mutually supportive. If we cannot save our democracy, we will not save our environment. And indeed, if we can't save the environment, nothing else will matter. Okay, these are the two looming problems. Ethical culture, by virtue of its philosophy and its history, is directly primed to deal with these great challenges head on. We are, at our core, a democratic organization that simply cherishes democracy and democratic freedoms. And I know Curt is committed to expanding the anthropocentric character of ethical culture to embrace the biological world, of which we, of course, are an inextricable part, and on which we are totally dependent. I feel confident that Curt Collier is committed and uniquely able to lead the society in meeting these challenges to the extent that our resources and creativity allow. I should say, in addition to ethical culture's broader social justice mission, perhaps our greatest contribution to society and ourselves is the substance and life of this very community. That is something I think is not sufficiently recognized. The Ethical Culture Society of Bergen County is simply a sterling example of cooperative organization. We exist not only to sustain our marvelous programs, but to support one another in building richer, more fulfilling, indeed ethical lives for ourselves and our children. At a time when many people have lost faith in institutions and in cooperative endeavors, perhaps the most important role our society can play is to remain a vibrant community for its members and those beyond us whose lives we touch. We are a beautiful community, comprised, I should say, of very smart, extraordinarily devoted volunteers who are committed to our ideals and to the flourishing of each of our members. That is you. Under Curt Collier's leadership, I trust that the Bergen Society will remain the extraordinary community it has long been, indeed, even more so. Curt, let me join others in the wish that as you enable the Bergen Society and its members to flourish, that you yourself find personal joy and fulfillment in living out your highest dedications to their fullest in the years ahead. We welcome you, Curt. Okay, friends, here's the man.
Hello, everyone. Sounds like the microphone's on. I'm Anne Warman, and I am the chair of the Social Action Committee, the current chair. And it is my honor, privilege, and great joy to take part in this installation ceremony for Curt Collier. Curt, as the new leader, or should I say facilitator, of the Ethical Culture Society of Bergen County, you are to provide pastoral support, inspiration, and to further grounding in our deepest values. We call upon you to help give inspiring talks on Sundays, provide educational programs, opportunities for ethical action, and to tend to the general well-being of this community. As an ethical culture leader, we ask that you bring the ideals of ethical culture to the wider community through social justice initiatives and in collaboration with organizations that share our priorities. We hope that you represent the whole of this community in public events. Along with this, we ask that you provide life passage ceremonies to our membership, collaborating with others to create unique and meaningful experiences. We hope that you bring your deep knowledge of environmentalism to advance activities for the protection and inclusion of nature. But above this, we hope that you fall in love with this community and its membership, that you strive to safeguard its future and preserve this organization that we too inherited from the work of others. And so, I ask you, Curt, and please answer I will if you do. Will you work with us to promote, as Adler advocated, the knowledge, the love, and the practice of right living in all the relations of life?
I will.
Do you promise to further inspire our members in efforts to advance the moral growth of humanity through study, social action, and striving to live ethical lives?
I will.
Will you help carry out the purpose of the organization to cooperate with private and governmental agencies in order to more effectively carry out the foregoing purposes, to render social service to the greater community, and to provide a medium for the exchange of ideas relating to education, public welfare, our environment, and ethical living?
I will.
Will you answer the call to provide help for our members in times of need, to comfort them in times of grief, to provide pastoral counseling, and to inspire hope as is warranted?
I will.
And now I'd like to address this congregation and ask that you too answer, we will, if you will. Do you promise to support Curt in these actions, to provide him with your wisdom and insights, and to serve alongside when able?
We will.
Do you promise to continue to act so as to elicit the best from one another?
We will.
Then, on behalf of this, our community, and our Board of Trustees, we welcome Curt Collier into our community as the new leader of the Ethical Culture Society of Bergen County. By that, we mean, shall you ever strive to lead by example, to lead through service, and to lead with your heart on behalf of this community. Welcome, Curt.
Thank you. And I remind all of us some words from Felix Adler: to care for anyone else enough to make their problems one's own is ever the beginning of one's real ethical development. This does not mean that your needs need to be sacrificed. If you can't take care of yourself, you certainly can't take care of one another. This also does not mean that we need to prove our benevolence in any fashion. Our work isn't simply charity. It is a call to remember what it means to be human, to remember the challenges we all face at all stages of our lives. And above all, it is to remind us that this way of life is dependent on forming deep relationships with one another. The primary number in ethical culture is not one, but two. It is in cultivating relationships and working towards mutual good that new ethical insights emerge by which we are all transformed. And with that, I'd like to call up Ron Schwartz, who will provide us with some music.